Double the fun, double the trouble, double the intellect. Welcome, Gemini Suns. Welcome back. My name is Mina with Midnight Zero Astrology. If you're new, please hit subscribe so we can keep the conversation going, you guys. I love talking to you guys about astrology, and I love hearing from you in the comments. And I'm super excited today to talk about Gemini Suns because I have a huge soft spot for them, and I will tell you about that in a moment. And also, you guys, make sure to stay the whole time and hit like on this video so you can get the full tea on Gemini Suns. So why do I have such a soft spot for Gemini Suns? Well, it's because my father was one, and he has recently passed away. His Gemini Sun was kind of like the loudest part of his personality. It's whenever I think of my memories with him, that's like what colors those memories, just him being so Gemini. And I don't know if you guys have ever lost someone you love a lot that is close to you before, but it really leaves like a hole in your heart. And I'm very lucky to have Gemini people in my life. I have a cousin and I have some friends. And you guys are really the only people who can fly through that hole in my heart and warm it up. So I'm very grateful for you because I see bits of his personality in you guys because you have a very unique energy about you, Gemini Sun. So I'm very thankful for my personal Geminis. You know who you are. So anyway, let's get into it. What does the sun mean in your birth chart? Well, your sun is your biggest, brightest star in your birth chart. It's an energy that's supposed to be associated with you. Other people are supposed to see this energy and they're supposed to admire you for it because of this, because you can get admired for this energy. It is often a huge pathway to happiness and fortune and fame. It is very important for this reason that we don't ignore our sun and we try to make it as happy as possible. So your sun is in Gemini. What does that mean about you? Well, it means that your sun is ruled by the ever-curious small planet of communication, Mercury, which is associated with the Greek god Hermes, the messenger of the gods, which really makes sense. It's all about basically what happens in our brains and how we're outputting and receiving information from other people, how we talk to ourselves, just anything involving communication is Mercury, much like the element air, which is your element, Gemini. And this element is very important to understand because this is what distinguishes you from Virgo, your Mercury sun cousin, a sun also ruled by Mercury. Virgo is an earth sign, which makes it very different. It has a stability and a thoroughness that you guys lack. It's definitely the more stable, thorough Mercury. While you guys, because you're ruled by air, which is a very quick element, and it's about relating to other people socially and just using your minds to do such. It makes you guys the quicker Mercury out of the two because Virgo might be quick, but it's always fact-checking itself. And you guys just believe, you have a very strong confidence when it comes to communication and you trust your immediate intellectual instincts. And they're usually pretty on point. That's kind of like your superpower, guys. I like to think of you as like quick breezes that you know, you're outside and you just feel a nice breeze. It's moving, air that moves, because mutable is a very important quality to understand about you guys. Mutable is it means that you have a very changeable energy, a chameleon-like quality to you. And mutable energy needs a lot of freedom because it can't just be bottled up. It's going to explode the bottle and break free because it needs that free-flowing element to it to be very happy. What are you symbolized by? This is super interesting. You're symbolized by the twins. And I don't know if you've been around children, but they're very mischievous. So imagine like double everything associated with a human being. So you guys are like double the amount of intelligence, double the amount of energy, which I think is like the two most important things, and maybe double the amount of mental restlessness and feeling bored, happiness even, anxiety, like double amounts, double helpings of everything, which makes you very special. I love the energy factor because I really do feel like you guys are like little whirlwinds, like wind-powered machines. You're always powering yourself up, kind of like Goku or something. Like one twin is always powering the other up and you guys just switch places. You really have insane amounts of energy. And maybe you're saying, oh, I'm a 12th house Gemini Sun, I don't really have much energy. Well, have you compared what you do in a day to other people? Maybe you're being a little hard on yourself. I'm just saying. because you guys could do so much. Oh my goodness, I remember talking to my dad, and like I'd be just waking up and he would already had done like 10 things by the time I woke up. My cousin is very similar, just like I'm so envious of this energy you guys have, and this kind of goes for the moon too, but I digress. So with this mutual air and the symbology of the twins, the most important thing to understand about all these elements together is that freedom of communication and thought are very pivotal to a Gemini Sun's happiness. They just need it. They can't be told what to think, what to do, or where to stay. They really need the freedom to flex their minds. They are kind of like mental flexors because they're so intelligent. They just can understand things so quickly, and I mean, it's amazing really how quickly they can understand really complicated concepts. Speaking of symbology again, you also have like a second mini mascot, you guys. You're also represented by butterflies, apparently. My friend discovered this, Denise at Astrology. She discovered that Geminis are connected with butterflies in a lot of textbooks, which makes a lot of sense because butterflies, like Geminis, go through lots of changes to get to that beautiful butterfly stage. They start as a little, I kind of want to say metapod, but I'm like, Mina, the world isn't Pokemon. So they start as a little worm thing, they go into a cocoon, and they turn into a beautiful butterfly. And then they're able to fly freely in the sky, choosing the flowers they would like to land on. And you guys do like to land on certain people, you know, have certain types of people in your life. And much like your opposite sign, Sagittarius, you're big on freedom. And we will get into how to get your Gemini butterflies to fly back to you later in this video. So what is Gemini leaving behind in the zodiac wheel? Gemini is leaving behind the very steady, earthy, fixed sign of Taurus, which is all about being happy, staying put, stability, earthy Venus, enjoying the earth, but your patch of earth. Think about that. So imagine like the twins just running away from this because they're just bored. They don't want to stay put. They don't want to be the earthy type of stable. They want to go where the wind takes them. They want to follow that mental curiosity that is so strong in them to wherever it takes them. They want that freedom. Keeping from Taurus, what are they remembering? Well, they are remembering how to enjoy life, because if Taurus knows anything, it knows how to make the best of its situation and to really enjoy the fruits of the earth to the max. And I think Gemini has remembered that from Taurus, because a Gemini can definitely show you how to have a good time, because they are doing that all the time in their little mini moments throughout the day. They're associated with short trips and small communities. And I always think of road trips with Gemini, and gas stations too, I don't know. But road trips especially, because you guys sometimes just need to go on a ride. You don't even know where you're going to go. Like, hey, let's just go on a ride. Like, my dad's like that, my cousin's like that too. And at first I'm like, what? No plan? But I always end up having fun. So very interesting about you guys. What are some shining points about Gemini Suns? Well, a shining point about you guys is something that's very fun to talk about, which is your ability to flirt and charm people just by using your words, because the twins learn the power of communication. You guys know the power of words. If you know anything, that's what you know. And when a Gemini talks to you, like sometimes people call you wordsmiths, but I think that just takes all the magic out of it. And you are magical creatures. I like to call you word magicians. My friend Denise calls you snake charmers, and I think we're on basically the same page, because when a Gemini Sun talks to you, it is like they're putting you under a spell. And even if they're not your physical type, you have to be careful, because you can end up falling in love with them and not even understand why in these moments of interaction with them. When a Gemini is using their spell on you, and flirting, it really does feel like you're in Disney's Aladdin, like you're Princess Jasmine. It doesn't even matter if you're a boy, like we're all Princess Jasmines. And I don't think Aladdin's really a Gemini, but I think in that moment he was just using something in his chart Gemini, because that's how it feels. Like you're Princess Jasmine and you're taking Aladdin's hand and you're on a magic carpet ride and you're going all over the world and it's just pure magic. And sometimes, you guys, like, you gotta be careful because it might not be the same for them as it is for you, because they're just doing their thing. They're not intending to hurt anyone or confuse anyone, but this is just how they relate to people. They're just very charming. My father, literally, his favorite thing to do would be like to hang out in coffee shops. Like, he would always tell me to come, and he was like kind of overweight and not as good looking as he used to be. He was very good looking when he was young, but like, he'd be flirting with these young waitresses, and I always thought, I'm gonna have to call the manager, I'm not gonna have to bail him out of jail. But they always went for it. They were never mad at him. They were just like, aha, like taking it, and I was just sitting there like so embarrassed. But anyway, oh my god, guys, like, Gemini suns can make me laugh so hard. It's almost embarrassing. Like, I really just can't do, it's always a risk if I do something serious with them. Like, one time I went to Bible camp with my cousin, 5 Gemini planets. We caused a scene. Like, I just can't, like, all my responsible bones just fly out of my body with you guys. And kind of Sagittarius too. Goodness, me and Denise took a class together. We were grown-ass women and just laughing the whole time while a lecture was going on. But luckily our professor was cool, and we just happened to be the only people laughing at his jokes. You guys, like I said, really understand the power of words and how you say words, like how to use these little things to get what you want in life. And you know how to be just like a very likable person in a social setting, because you always have something interesting to say. You're like little walking Googles, and people get kind of addicted to having you around because you have a fast energy and you're kind of powering everyone up around you, and you're just very interesting. And you have this uncanny ability to multitask. Like, a Gemini sun can be doing like 7 things at the same time, and they might not be perfectly done, but they get done, okay? And you guys also, while you're multitasking, can be listening to like every single conversation around you. How do you do it? Please let me know in the comments. So be careful what you say. If a Gemini is in your vicinity, they're going to be hearing everything you say, and who knows what they'll do with the information, because Geminis love exposing people for little lies. They're not thinking of the big picture like Sagittarius, and they get really aggravated because they consider themselves like stewards of words and communication. Like, they trust themselves with that. But when they see people being tacky with words and careless and kind of lying, they're gonna call people out for that. Goodness, I've witnessed this many times with all the Geminis in my life. Oh god, my cousin, she called one of my friends a liar, and she is a liar, but it's just like you never expect it, and it's always funny to remember. Gemini suns, it's no surprise that your tarot card is the Lovers, which is very appropriate for your very charming personalities. Although the art's a little questionable on this card, I don't know if I like it. But you guys really do know how to make other people fall in love with life's little moments, and you put a smile on people's faces, and you have awesome, beautiful smiles, all of you. If someone doesn't like how you flirt, then they just don't know how to live. They're not worth your time. You guys are just really quick learners. Like, it's so enviable, and it's just amazing to watch. You could grasp just super complicated things really fast all the time. Another thing that's amazing about you guys is that you really understand the power of words, and not only do you use words to get good things in life, but you also use words to understand and tap into other people's psyches and how they think. It's almost like what Scorpio does, which is feeling out people and observing. You do by talking to many people. Like, a Gemini has a very interesting data bank on how people think, and maybe it's not to the depth of Scorpio, but it's very relatable information and very useful information that should not be discounted. So definitely they are good at giving advice about, giving you insight into how most people think. And the way they do that is that they are kind of tricksters. So they might play devil's advocate. I don't know why people associate that with Libra. I really associate this with Gemini. They will, take the other side of your opinion just to really see why you think the way you think and how deeply you know about the subject, how deeply your stance is. And it gives them an insight into your mind and how you think. And They are, you know, judging by how you think if you're going to be a flower that they return to. But trust me, I know it's not always pleasant being on the end of devil's advocate, but I do view it as a positive thing because, like, my dad really tried to teach me the ways of the Gemini, you guys. It sounds like I'm talking about Star Wars, but I'm a Pisces and I just couldn't grasp on like he wanted me to. I mean, my only planet in Gemini is Chiron, which is a really sad planet, so basically my weak spot. But what I took away from that, because as a Pisces I can absorb, you know, other people's energy, is the curiosity. Geminis are always curious, which means they're always open to receiving new data, new information. They aren't closed-minded in that way, which is a really awesome thing about them. They're very adaptable. So a Gemini, you know, might have bad things happen to them, but they could just bounce back so quickly. They can really turn negatives into positives if they tap into this power. So because they are data banks and they understand the psyche of other people in a way, they make great detectives, amazing at exposing little bitty lies, and they usually don't let people get away with that. They like exposing people, friends and foes alike. That's just something they do. They try to keep us all honest, even though, do they hold themselves up to those same standards? Well, they are mutable signs, so maybe not all the time. So let's talk about some not so shiny parts about, it's just less shiny, you guys. It's stuff that we all have in us and that we need to work on. So darker parts of a Gemini Sun's personality is that they have so many details in their minds that their minds can get overheated and overstimulated. They're very susceptible to overstimulation. So need to take care of yourselves, Gemini. Mental health maintenance should be top on the list, just like your cousin Virgo. And you're often driven mad by boredom, basically, because you have the brain power of two people inside of you because of that energy from the twins. And if it doesn't have an outlet, you know, and it doesn't have to be one thing, you guys, you're mutable and you need variety, but if it has nowhere to go, then it often leads to Gemini Suns chasing the most exciting thing around them, like what's most convenient to get the excitement. And yes, you guys often have just like amazing stories to tell about these periods in your life when you're very restless, and I like to categorize it by using Lana Del Rey's song Ride. That little poem she says in that song, one part of it says, I'm trying hard not to get into trouble, but I have a lot on my mind. And I think every Gemini Sun goes through a ride phase, and I kind of think I'm a holdout on Lana Del Rey being a pure Cancer Sun. I think she's proof that cusps exist because she's very Gemini to me. But yeah, you have this ride phase, and like I said, it can create you beautiful memories, but it can also cause like a bit into trouble in these phases with not so funny consequences. But yeah, you guys, like, Geminis have an uncanny ability to get away with stuff. Like, I've worked in offices with Geminis, and they'd be, like, talking shit about someone who was 2 feet away, and somehow the other person never heard them. It's like the Gemini power, and I love it. Like, I don't want you guys to get in trouble most of the time. The last, like, not so shiny part about Gemini that I want to talk about is the bad memory you guys can kind of have. And you have bad memories at times. Whenever you think they're going to have a bad memory, magically they don't. They'll remember like really odd facts about you because they're always trying to figure you out. That's another thing. If you want them to fly back to you, you have to be interesting enough for them to feel like they talk to so many people, and they're always intaking information, new information. Like I said, their brains can get hot from this, that they do so much that sometimes they just don't remember all the micro details of what they did on a certain day. So if you have an issue with something they did and they're like, oh, I don't remember that, it might sound convenient, but a lot of times they just really don't remember, guys. So what does a Gemini love? Let's talk about that, but get more on the positive side. They love interesting people. Like I said, they don't want to feel like they can figure you out in a day. They want someone who's adaptable like them. And if you're adaptable and open, you're always learning new things, and you're always shedding old skin, becoming something new. So they like someone who can help, you know, satiate their own curiosity, to get them more curious and kind of keep that alive and interesting in them. Because even though they're wind power machines, sometimes they need a little pick-me-up too. And if you can be that pick-me-up, then you might have them in the bag. They love people with a sense of humor. If you can't laugh, then I just don't see you having much of a chance. They also love people who are willing to listen to them talk and, you know, share all their silly little Gemini stories and just all their interesting thoughts and people watching things, like anything that they want to share. If you're open to that, then you're doing good. They also like smart people and people who can match their speed. They don't do well with people who are way slower than them because it kind of messes with their own momentum. I don't want to say that they like someone whimsical, like always. Sometimes they can like more stable Taurusy people, but I think that as long as they're open-minded, they can deal with that. And if there's freedom, they have to have a sense of freedom to be happy. What they don't like people who are unwilling to change, because they are always like trying new things, and that can kind of inhibit that energy in them. And I don't mean changing like the real serious stuff, but they just like someone, you know, a little spicier, who changes like at least something about themselves often. And they don't like people who can't find information from themselves, because Geminis are often semi-self-taught. Like they taught themselves to find the information they need. So when you're asking them to be Google, even though they are little Googles, sometimes they get a little testy and they'll tell you to Google it. I've been told that several times by Gemini Suns. So what is a Gemini growing into in the zodiac wheel? They're growing into the emotive sign of Cancer. Cancer is all about personal feelings and domestic responsibilities, everything that keeps a home warm and going. That's what Cancer has to do with. So Gemini Suns, you know you're on the right track to becoming a more evolved version of yourselves when you can not automatically throw out things that aren't objective. Like when you can take someone's subjective feelings seriously on something and be a little bit more kinder and sensitive to people who are more on the emotional side of the spectrum, responsibility part. So a lot of times Geminis kind of feel like a ball and chain at home. Like home is just a thing that holds your wings down and makes you not able to fly freely to all the little small destinations that you want. So really, like, you know you're on the right track when you're redefining what is home. Home should be not only the flowers you choose to be around that you love and you think they're interesting, those people that you hold dear that recharge you and keep that awesome momentum that you have going in your life. Gemini is a very momentous sign, but it's also a place for you to recharge your very busy mind, you guys. You can't be going at that rate all the time. And much like Virgo, sometimes you do turn to drugs and other things like that just to shut your brain off. So maybe using your home as a very meditative space to get that mental center and focus and calm that you need. Seeing the home as a positive thing. You know you're on the right track when you're thinking of those things. And also, you are so talented. Really, the way you think is so unique and so, like, imagine what you can do with not only all that energy inside you, but all that data you carry around in your brains. Are you using it to help people that you hold dear? We're thinking about Cancer here. Are you using that superpower to help your communities? Maybe it's pushing you to, you know, not only be nicer to others, but be nicer to yourself. Think about home as like opening a door of comfort and a place where you can recharge. Maybe understanding that your mind is your home too, and you need to keep that just as pristine as your outside surroundings to have a more zen recharge station. And I also feel like, I don't know if this is necessarily connected to Cancer, but I do think that you need to grow into having more patience, because I do think you're the most impatient sign of the zodiac. And with your brain power, imagine how much more, and you already do so much more you could do if you were just a little bit more patient. You could be better learners of things, because I know that you get bored because you understand things quickly. But maybe if you were kinder to yourself, which is Cancer, and, you know, allowed yourself to marinate instead of run away in those impatient moments, maybe it would open more doors for you. And home is about opening doors. There's many doors in every home. If you could just be a little bit more patient in your learning process, you'll be an even huger data bank. And most importantly, because I love focus on self-care, especially with Mercury ruled anything, because that has to do with our precious mind. Learning, Cancer is about food. So what are you feeding your brains, Gemini Suns? Are you feeding your brains all these conspiracy theories and negative stuff? So even if the conspiracy theories are true, even if all the negative stuff is true, is that good food for your brain? Is that like gonna bring you happiness at the end of the day, whether it's true or not? And that's having a more big picture mentality. Like opposite sign Sagittarius is more big picture, you know, a more big picture person, and a more big picture energy, more teacher energy. So maybe looking at the big picture of things every once in a while to give your tiny details bigger depth, so you can have, you know, ideas of what to use this data for, and to put it towards good things that help people, and to also, you know, learn how to be a teacher of all your Gemini ways, even though you might not have the patience and you wish people were as quick as you because you're Google's. Learning how to be that kind, patient teacher. You could help so many people that way. So Cancer is also calling you to have a better emotional memory, you guys, because sometimes you do say things that hurt. And just imagine if you can make people fall in love with you by using these word spells. Imagine how you can make them feel if you're, you know, maybe you said something mean unintentionally, because your words are just powerful, and maybe you didn't ask for that. It's just what you were born into. So Cancer is asking you to kind of like try to develop that better emotional memory. So if someone comes with you, you know, saying that you upset them in a way, instead of maybe like, you know, being tricky, you could be more open and sensitive to that, and you'll start to develop a better emotional memory the more you practice that. And you're also growing into Libra. So both of these cardinal signs, Cancer and Libra, Libra's the middle air sign, or just like the kinder end of the cardinal square, is asking you to say maybe there's no harm in trying to be a little bit more polite, because Gemini is super edgy with its words, because it likes to use words in all spectrums. So maybe realizing the power of being a little bit more intentionally polite. I know that hinders your freedom, but it might help you. And so what are the typical careers and fields that a Gemini can really shine in, or things to do? And I could go with the typical, which is true, like you're an amazing journalist. I'm sure there's numerous Gemini journalists, because you can uncover tons of facts and data about people, and especially things that hit small communities, because that's what you rule. And of course, you know, reporters, just anything in that spectrum, writers, poets. I really do think this is one of those energies, and I know this might not help narrow down your search, but you really can do anything. There are Geminis everywhere in any field because of that amazing mind that you have. Magicians, I'm telling you, you can do anything you put your mind to, because if Gemini knows anything, they know the power of the mind. And this is another thing I will mention that you're growing into, is talking kinder to yourself, because sometimes Geminis can kind of have a dark inner mental world. You know, be kinder to yourself, guys. Speak positive to yourself, because that's your own personal spell to get those good things in your life. If you get that ratio down, like how much responsibility you could take on without feeling just trapped and miserable, it's so worth it, you guys, because you deserve to be in a happy home where responsibilities of everyday life don't affect you that much. So I encourage all my Geminis to have a better relationship with responsibility, because if anyone could be a magician and make that fun, it's you guys, because you make everything fun and positive. Change the lights to red, because I want to ask a love question to you guys, Gemini Suns. Me and my friend Denise are always curious about how Geminis work in the romantic sector of things, and I know there's very big differences between such like people with Scorpio placements and Gemini Suns, Taurus placements. Of course that adds variety, because the sun is just one part of our birth chart. But in general, what do you need in a relationship and in a home to feel like you're not weighed down and to feel like you are just stripped of all freedom? Like, what do you need out of someone else? Even though I've listed things like my cousin's married to another Gemini. Do you like other Gemini placements in a partner? What is something that you find attractive in that way that will make you stick out the not so exciting and fun parts of life? Please let me know in the comments. I'm always so curious about this. I had so much fun talking about you guys, and before I go, I do want to talk about music real quick. I love TUPAC. I think he's just like he's a poet more than he is anything. He's also a musician, but mostly he's a poet. And he read so many books, and I know maybe some Geminis don't like to read, but I really like. That is awesome. When a Gemini likes to read, it's very attractive. He was a big reader, and just all of his music to me are like poems, and just his real raw feelings about things and posing questions to you in his own songs. I love it, and I will be posting some of his songs below in my description. Another person I want to talk about is the Smiths, specifically Morrissey, the lead singer, because he's a Gemini. Geminis often get in trouble for things that they say because they just go with the free flow of communication, and can get in trouble. Like, most Gemini celebrities have had some type of scandal in terms of saying something that just rubbed people the wrong way, and most of the time they don't care because they're very confident people. But yeah, he's had some controversy, and I love his songs because, like, especially A Light That Never Goes Out, because I think that Gemini is kind of like a light that never goes out, kind of almost like Leo. They're just so inspiring people, and it's just about him going on a ride, super Gemini, just wanting to have fun, and I love the moments it captures. I could talk about so many other artists, and I don't want to waste your time, so I'm just going to post it in the description, and let me know what you think. I would love to hear about any songs you think do Gemini justice, because I just love Gemini suns. So guys, thank you so much for watching my video, and please leave comments. I love talking to you, and I will see you in the next video. Mina telling you bye.